Your home is still on the market 90 days from now, and we lower the price, and you find out that you no longer are in a market with 4 months of inventory, but now you're in a market with 6 months of inventory, and you're going to end up selling your home for $20,000 to $30,000 than you could have if you would have started out at the right price. Just tell me, how do you feel about that? All right, happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to Survive to Thrive. We are going to pick up where we left off on Tuesday, and I want you to grab pen and paper. I'm immediately going to go right to sharing my screen. All right, somebody give me a thumbs up. We're seeing this. All right, very, very cool. All right, so when you get to the pricing part of a listing presentation, and just to go through the steps, begin the conversation. Thank you so much for meeting with me today. It's always a pleasure to meet with somebody and discuss the possibility of the Dietz team representing them in the sale of their home. I'd like to start by sharing my mission statement. My mission is to meet your goals and exceed your expectations. Now, because of that mission statement, whenever I meet, so we go right into expectations. One of three things typically happen. One of those things will happen today. So we go right into a needs analysis on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not so good, 10 being awesome. What needs to happen in the sale of your home for you to feel the experience was a 10? We go right from doing our needs analysis to prioritizing the needs. And then we go into satisfying the needs, which is our marketing plan in order to achieve their goals. Now, I slowed down on that because I want you all to understand this. The marketing strategy is not about you. It's not about your brand or your marketing. It's not about getting their price because that's what they told you one of their goals was. It's about what are you going to do to achieve their goal. So let's just hypothetically say that we're meeting with a seller and now we're getting into the pricing strategy, okay? And this is a strategic pricing conversation. So we're meeting with a seller. We've pulled 3 comparables that we're going to use for the sale of their property. One sold for, these are adjusted sold prices, by the way. One sold for $520,000, the other at $535,000, and the other one at $540,000. Seller wants $550,000. Now, if you look at the bottom of the page, we have 4 months of inventory, which I'm going to get into in just a second when I do the supply and demand analysis. And we know at 4 months of inventory, the market has leveled off. Prices are no longer going up. So, and the question is, what's coming next? Well, more than likely, what's coming next is what you see over here. Prices are going to start dropping. As soon as we hit that 5 months of inventory, prices are dropping because sellers are competing for buyers. When we're in a market where there's less than 30 days of inventory, way over here, buyers are competing for listings. That's driving the price up. And when you get into a market where there's more sellers than buyers, now sellers are competing for buyers. That drives the price down. All right. What we want to do next is we want to go through a supply and demand analysis with them. And what I'm going to share with you, and for some of you, this is new, and for some of you, you've seen this a couple hundred times, but that's okay. Repetition is the mother of learning. We're going to look between $525,000 and $550,000. That's the price range. I want to know what supply and demand is in that price range. We have our subject property. And then we're looking at about a 1 to 2 mile radius around the subject property. This search can go out further and it can actually come in closer as well. It really depends on the location. Is it densely populated or not? And how many properties come up on this search? So we're doing a supply and demand analysis about a 1 to 2 mile radius from the subject property, and we're searching from $525,000 to $550,000. We have 24 active listings. That's A. B is the number of properties that sold in the last 6 months, and there were 36 homes that sold. C is we're going to take B and we're going to divide it by 6. We're going to take the number of homes that sold, and we're going to divide it by 6 because we went back 6 months. Always go back 6 months. And the answer to C is we have 6 homes selling every 30 days. Now we're going to take A and we're going to divide it by C. We're going to take the number of active listings, we're going to divide it by the number that are selling every 30 days. That gives us 4 months of inventory. Now, Birgit, the conversation to the seller is, in order to sell your home, you have to be one of these six that are going to go under contract and sell in the next 30 days. Out of 24 homes, you have to be one of the six that go under contract. And in order to do that, you have to beat the competition. So, how do we beat the competition? Top 25% in condition, bottom 25% in price. Now, if it's not top 25% in condition, then the price has to be even lower. So I'm going to look at these 24 properties between 525, 550,000. I'm going to look at the bottom 25% in price, and my strategy in order to get their home sold is $530,000. Now, I'm going to go to the next screen. Seller says, I want $550,000. I am going to pull out my legal pad sitting right there at their kitchen table. Zig Ziglar called it a thinking pattern. I'm going to start drawing pictures. And Aaron, here's what it's going to look like. So, Aaron, I understand you want $550,000. This is your price. And my recommended price is 530. And I believe that's where we need to be in order to beat the competition so we can get your property under contract in the next 30 days, close within the next 60 days so that you can move with your family to Tampa and be there no later than March. However, you want to start out at $550,000 because after all, remember guys, sellers go to script school. Okay. The good news for you is they've only got a couple scripts. All right. Because after all, we can always lower the price later and a buyer could always make an offer, right? And they're going to respond with right because they're like, cool, you got it. You understand me. Life is good. So in my experience, what typically happens here is I'm changing my screen. So Jacqueline, in my experience, what typically happens here is when we start out at 550, because we can always lower the price later, we're going to get the most amount of attention, the most eyeballs on your property, the most people looking at your property online, and then choosing whether they want to come look at it or not. That's going to happen in the first 30 days. And what typically happens is a seller will come back to me somewhere between 60 and 90 days, and they'll say, you know, John, you were right. Let's go ahead and lower the price to 530. Well, the problem with that is we've missed our window of opportunity. Our best opportunity to get your home sold is always going to be in the first 30 days. And at this point, we've missed that opportunity. All the buyers are down here. They're not looking at your home. Basically, what we're doing is we're fishing with our bait out of the water. We started with the bait out of the water up 550 up here because the buyers are down here. We're up here. Bait's up here, fish are down there. When we lower the price to 530, we're still fishing with our bait out of the water. Now, it would have been perfect if we would have started out like that, but at 60 plus days on the market, we're still fishing with our bait out of the water. Bait's up here, fish is down here. Now, around 120 days out, a buyer is going to come in and look at your home, Jack, and they're going to love your home. And the first thing they're going to do is they're going to ask their real estate agent, how long has the home been on the market? Agent's going to say 120 days. Buyer's going to ask, what's wrong with it? Agent's going to respond, Megan, with there's nothing wrong with it. Now, if you're the buyer, are you making a full price offer on the home? It's been on the market for 120 days. What are you thinking? You've got to be thinking opportunity. That's what the buyer's thinking, opportunity. So they come in with an offer of $510,000, Megan. And at this point, your motivation has changed. Now you have to sell because you've already missed out on that opportunity to be in Tampa by March, and you've got to get there. And this is the first offer you've had. So maybe you're even desperate at this point. So you accept the offer at $510,000. Bottom line, buyer has the negotiating advantage at 120 days. You have the negotiating advantage at 30 days. So what ended up happening is we lost $20,000 from 5:30 to 5:10, we lost $20,000 trying to make an extra $20,000. We also have 3 additional months of holding cost. Our holding cost is $3,000 a month for mortgage, taxes, insurance, and HOA fees, and so on. So we lost another $9,000. So we've actually lost $29,000 trying to make an extra $20,000. All right, remember that people are more motivated by avoiding loss than they are by going towards pleasure. They're more motivated by avoiding pain than they are by going towards pleasure. It's called loss aversion. And people will never change their mind, but they will make a new decision based on new information. And the best way to help somebody make a new decision based on new information is by asking great questions, right? So, for example, Leanne, if your home is still on the market 90 days from now, and we lower the price, and you find out that you no longer are in a market with 4 months of inventory, but now you're in a market with 6 months of inventory. And not only are you going to get less money for your home because it's been on the market longer, but prices have dropped. So 90 days from now, you find out that the value of your home has dropped by $10,000. And you're going to end up selling your home for $20,000 to $30,000 than you could have if you would have started out at the right price. Just tell me, how do you feel about that?
Would feel very sad, first of all.
Yeah. I mean, Leanne, hang in there with me. Leanne, hang in there with me for a moment here, okay? I mean, if we had a crystal ball and we knew your home was going to sell for 530, would you rather sell it for 530,000 in 30 days or 120 days?
The sooner the better.
The sooner the better. Again, I agree with that. You know, Megan, how much does the value have to drop before you can no longer afford to sell your home? What if starting out at the wrong price meant that not only are you going to get less money for your home, but you can't sell it any longer? Not only are you still in your home 6 months from now, but you're here a year from now, 2 years from now, maybe even 3 years from now. How do you feel about that? You know, the last time the market shifted, like the market we're in today, it was 2008. And it took 4 years for the prices to reach the bottom. And it took another 4 years for the prices to get back where they were before they started falling. So in that market, if we were having this conversation in 2008, you are 8 years away from your home being worth what it is today. If you miss the window of opportunity and you're still in your home 8 years from now, Kimberly, you're not in Tampa. You're not hanging out with family. 8 years later, your kids are no longer 3 and 4 years old. Now they're teenagers. Do you want them to miss all of that time with their grandparents because you tried to make an extra $20,000? Now, when a seller tells me, I don't care, I'm going to get my price or I'm not going to sell my home. My question to them is, if I called your parents in Tampa, if I asked your kids, would they give me the same answer? Would they tell me they don't care as well? So what's more important to you, Birgit, $20,000 or being with your family? Don't be afraid to ask the tough questions. Tough conversations lead to good decisions. You're the expert sitting at the table, not the sellers. You're the one who's selling 20, 30, 40 homes a year. They're selling a home every 7 years. Their neighbor next door to them, who thinks they're a real estate expert, is selling a home every 7 years. You're the expert at the table. You have to be confident in having those difficult conversations, but you have to do this with really good bedside manner. I mean, if you went to the doctor and the doctor had really bad news for you, would you want the doctor to say, don't worry about it, everything's cool? Of course not. You'd want the doctor to be honest with you, but you would want him to do that with good bedside manner. In other words, Megan, this is real. We've got a real issue that we're dealing with here, but we can beat this, and here's how we're going to beat it. All right, now transition that to a real estate conversation. Jack, the market's tough. Bob, the market's tough. Charlene, the market's tough. There's 24 homes for sale that you're competing against. There's only 6 selling every 30 days. By the way, that's a good market. Let's flip it around and say there's 24 homes for sale and there's only 4 selling every 30 days. Now we're in a buyer's market and prices are dropping. So, Clem, there's 24 homes for sale and there's only 4 selling every 30 days. It's a tough market. In order to sell your home, you're going to have to beat the competition in order to be one of those 4 homes. Now, here's the good news. We know how to beat the competition. We know how to strategically price your home so that you get a contract in the next 30 days, so that you can get to Tampa and be with your family. It means that we're going to have to be a little bit more aggressive on pricing in order to get that contract within the first 30 days so that you're one of those 4 homes that go under contract. What do you think we should do? And then be quiet, guys. What do you think we should do? Now they respond with, well, what do you think? I'm going to respond with, you shared with me in your goals that goal number 1 was getting a contract quick. It was goal number 1 because you need to be in Tampa by March, and it was really important to you. So my answer to what do I think you should do is, what do you think you need to do in order to be one of the sellers that sell in the next 30 days? I'm going right back to them. Where do you think you need to be? I want them to tell me, I think we need to start out at $530,000. My response is, I agree. Are you ready to get started? All right, Cheryl, talk to me.
Hey, John, 2 questions. What do you do if the seller says, I could just rent? So they don't mind being at that high price for forever. They don't have to move, or they have a brand new house. I've had this 2 or 3 times where they're just like, well, I could just leave it and rent if I don't get the price that I want.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
And I'm like, my thought is I can't be more motivated than they are to sell your house. That's kind of my thought.
You're 1,000% correct on that, by the way. And everybody, this is why you have the Rainmaker playbook, because when you've internalized that playbook, the answers are immediately coming to you. Okay. As soon as I heard the word rent, I'm ready to go. So, Cheryl, if renting your home is absolutely an option. Now, if you rented out your home, because I mean, this is your home, it's not an investment property, correct? Take yourself off mute, role play with me.
Sure. Sorry. I've had both options. I've had where it has been a rental option, investment property, and one where they built and they are going to rent it and they have a new house that they're moving into.
Let's go with option number 1. So
Okay.
if you were to rent out your home, what's your greatest fear?
Maybe it being vacant.
Okay. And what happens if the property is vacant?
I'd end up taking on some of those costs, although I do have a little bit of a nest egg, so I'm not as worried about that.
Okay, so if you get tenants in the property and they're renting the property and they're not paying rent, what happens?
We'd have to deal with, attorney fees and things like that to get them out.
Yeah, so you have to evict them. You're going several months not collecting rent, and what if you get the property back with $10,000 to $20,000 in damage? Are you okay with that?
No, I wouldn't be okay with that.
Okay, then renting is not an option.
Okay.
Now that renting is not an option, now what should we do? You don't have to answer that.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I've heard people say, I'll let family stay in there, but
yeah, right. And I'm going to go right back to, if the value of your home a year from now, when you decide to put it back on the market, has dropped $20,000, $30,000, how are you going to feel about that? If you knew the value was going to drop $20,000 to $30,000 in the next year, would you still rent it out for a year? Take the chances that you might have to evict somebody, get the property back with $10,000 to $20,000 in damage, and now your home is worth $20,000 less than it was a year ago.
That's cool.
Okay, let's go, Bob.
Yeah, this is, I mean, all that we learn in your 14-point listing presentation is powerful, but this is one of the most important conversations I think we need to master. So for me, once Zora edits this, I'm going to be watching it, writing it down. And another thing that you reminded me of, like when you said, what do you think? My dentist asked me that one time, and I said, what do you think? He said, I'm thinking what you're thinking. What are you thinking? And you kind of said that, but maybe we don't want to say it just like that.
I don't know about the dentist, but okay. I'm thinking I want to get out of this chair and go home. And I doubt he's thinking that. Let's go, Sean.
Okay, first, I apologize to the group for being a little late today. I've had these conversations a lot lately, and I think when you stand behind your numbers and you stand behind this graph that John put up, it's really not that hard. You're not saying anything. This is the market speaking. I'm Marathon. I'm bringing bad news, but and then you go right into self-discovery. And some of you have heard about my listing that was on the market 200 days. Sometimes they'll never get it, but I like the phrase 20 will cost you 40, right? Trying to get 20 grand is going to cost you that 20, plus the market's going down. You're going to lose another 20. So, and that bears out via the numbers here in Austin. Like I can show them, look, this person listed at this price where you want to be. 200 days later, they sold for 75,000 less.
Right.
And during this time, they could have made some of that 75. So It's never you telling them, it's the numbers.
That's right.
That's how I look at it.
Let the data do the heavy lifting and then simply ask, what do you think? Let's go, Matt Kemps.
So I got this exact scenario right now where I let them price it because they ultimately make the decision. I let them price it too high when we went on market. I gave them 3 different options for what they should do as we got to day 90. They wanted to go off market and want to reset days on market. The day we pulled it off market, I have 4 showings today on that same property. So now it's like there isn't the instant gratification of knowing what the price is. Now it's unknown. It's not on the market anymore. I said, hey, there's could be a good thing that happens out of this or a bad thing out of this, but expect with the pricing to come in to where we first talked about. So if we do get an offer from one of these 4 showings today, it's not going to be what you originally expected. Like we have traffic now because there's a little bit of FOMO that they're missing out on, and now it feels like it has that off-market feel. So I'm curious to see what happens. I got 3 showings today, 1 showing tomorrow on that same property that's off market. And then part 2, for anyone that wants to build an AI agent today, we're going to do that on my class today. I'm this close to being an AI agent, be able to write a contract on SkySlope. So when we get there, I'll let you know.
Awesome stuff, Matt Kemps. By the way, Birgit is hosting a class on Friday. I don't know if you put the link for that in the chat or not, Birgit, but if you would, could you please do that?
Yeah, let me see if I can find it. If not, I'll put it in the show notes because today's the only day I didn't grab it. But I have the flyer, so if you guys, I'll do that real quick, and you guys can do the QR code if you want. But the other thing I wanted to say is, where am I? Am I still on?
Yeah,
Here I am. And the other, I wanted to pick you back off of Sean real quick. Matt, by the way, I wish I had your brain. But Sean, what you said is exactly right. So let the data be the bad guy and allow that to be your armor when you're walking into something that feels uncomfortable. The data is the bad guy. It's not you, so know your market. Know the stats. I always tell my agents, what's the market doing? And oftentimes I get nothing. Well, how can we be an expert if we don't know our market and how to interpret that for our clients? Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you, Birgit. I wish I had your brain and Matt's brain. by the way. Let's
Okay,
go.
we can put everybody's brain a little bit together and see what we come up with. It'd be pretty amazing, I think.
All right, so we're at 9:32. Got to make it quick, Sean, because I got to get to Jacqueline.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, expand on what Matt said. Here in Austin, like a lot of times when we make a price change for my clients, we go on hold before we do it. We go on hold, we rearrange the pictures, we rebrand the listing, and then we come back on market. And it always generates a phone call. Somebody is watching your listing. They're looking for a price or they're looking for something. And when they don't see it anymore, then they talk to their agent and you get a phone call. So you shake that buyer tree.
Think about it like this, guy. So go back to the fishing analogy. When you lower that price, now you're in the water where the fish are. Okay, the fish have been looking for bait. They're there. They're looking, and all of a sudden, the property they've been looking for at the price they've been looking for is right there, and they jump. Okay, Jacqueline, let's go.
I just wanted to say, after you do all that, also being willing to walk away is so powerful. When you say, how do you say it, John? I'd rather let you down now than let you down from 6 months from now, because I'm here to exceed your expectations and make you happy. I'm in this for the long haul, and I want to be your realtor for life. So, and then shut up, and then just shut up, right?
Golden.
Take the next step in your real estate career. Scan the QR code or send a message to book a coaching session with Coach John Dietz.